we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it.
But I might have just fixed the echoing. Let me know if that helps.
There was echoing.
Yeah, I think I know why, but it might be fixed now.
We really just need to find some third party that wants to be our producer for these episodes.
Well, it's one of those things of once we get it sorted, then it's okay. But
yeah,
it's just, there's certain sources. I think for some reason your audio I had set up differently last year, and I've done an upgrade since then. I went from Windows 10 to Windows 11. It reset all of my audio settings. So I know I'm coming through properly because I reset up all of my audio.
You are fixed, I am fixed, so you got it taken care of. Whatever you did, it worked.
I think I know what I need to fix because we talked about it with the intro. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'll take care of it in the off time.
Yeah. Great to see we have interactions in chat. How's everybody liking the new look? Tried to clean things up. Tried to make it look a little more professional and less like something built, made on a computer for a very obscure forum in like 1993 internet.
I thought we had a very nice aesthetic.
I wanted to brighten it up. Clean it up, I looked at the other one the other day and I was like, how did this just not give me a migraine staring at it?
We already have other ideas too.
Yes.
So it's not like it's going to just stay static. We have other little things to kind of tweak that we've already talked about in just setting this one up. So we hope you hang out and enjoy the ride with us.
Mm-hmm. But with 2 months before the season, I'm not exactly rushing to get it fixed.
No. It'll get there.
It'll
get there.
Yeah.
Bear with us.
It'll get there. Then let's see. We get back on topic because tangents are kind of our thing, but
they're fun. Okay, we like going on tangents.
It's kind of weird. Well, you want to know what's kind of a tangent to the MASL?
The fact that you're going on a tangent when we just talked about...
I was going to say the TST is kind of tangential to the MASL.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Uh-huh, yeah, see, and call me Weird Al in the White and Nerdy music video, because I'm on my Segway. Yeah, there would have been an easier joke there about Paul Blart, but I don't like those movies as much as I like White and Nerdy.
Fair.
TST 2024. Huge success for the MASL, and also I would say a huge failure at the same time. UCFC had a ton of representation.
Yep.
Everton was a head coach for Quick Goal FC. Kelvin, Frank, Dylan, Toby, Nilton, Wilkin, Chino, and Gordy all played for different teams.
Yep.
Every one of them, I'm pretty sure, reached the group stage. So from 48 teams in pool play to 32 in the group stage. I mean, it was great representation for Utica on a national stage.
Yes, it was.
And let's just say one of those guys and a few of his teammates brought a bit more attention to the MASL than others. Speaking, of course, about the Arena Boys, who played on Concaifa FC.
Yep.
With former Indianapolis Colts punter Pat McAfee.
And WWE color commentator. You can't leave that out.
Look, all I know is he's not the guy that does the internet or the computer software for security stuff.
WWE is the whole reason I found out who the heck he even was.
Oh, see, as a Tennessee Titans fan, he played against Tennessee twice a year, so...
Yeah, no, it's, they brought him on, and he was a phenomenal. He was a phenomenal person on there, a personality. He was a great personality to be doing commentary on there. I mean, it's very much brought life to that commentary. And it's just, watching him he's actually wrestled a few times, stuff like that. He's very entertaining. So, and then, I've also listened to his podcast and stuff now too because of that. So
yeah,
I was introduced to him from there.
He has a show on ESPN. He's very dude bro. Which is probably why his team, Concafa FC, was sponsored by Dude Wipes. And had a bunch of dude bros from the MASL with Gordy Steph, who by the end of that was going by Meat because that man needs another nickname. Reggett, Huffman, and Mario Alvarez were also on the team. Every one of them doing their best. And for a while, they were the talk of TST.
Yeah, they really were.
And I mean, every social media from MASL was kind of like, hey, Pat, you want to come to a game this year? Come on, Pat. Which would be great to get eyes on the league. I hope when it picks back up, he'll talk about it, having played with these guys, had a chance to bond with them. As all these pro athletes know, there's nothing like going out there competing with your guys, the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yep. Yeah, I would love to see, that would really bring some. It would bring some attention to the league.
Yeah.
That's what it sorely needs. I mean, anyone who I've talked to, I would say 95% of them that have heard of it and that have been introduced to it, have then gone on to watch it with or without me.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just getting that initial exposure because people are like, indoor soccer, what is that? What even is that? And it's like, you basically just give them the elevator spiel of soccer in a hockey rink with the same sort of play style, and that gets them in a little bit, and then they watch a game, done.
Yeah, it's hockey soccer with like 14 goals a game.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. Sign me up every day. And it wasn't just a story about the arena boys at TST. I mean, that the MASL in total had something like 100 different players represented. I believe every team had representatives there. 22 of the 48 teams in the men's bracket featured MASL talent.
Mm-hmm.
They dominated the field of play.
Yes, they did.
7 of 8 quarterfinalists carried MASL players, and then 3 of the 4 semifinalists. And I guess once again, congratulations to Chihuahua, because half of your team met up with half of Monterrey and a few other guys from the Mexican Futsal Rapido League, and they went undefeated through this.
Yes,
as La Bombonera.
Yep.
Absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't even, if I'm remembering right, not looking it up or anything like that. If I'm remembering right, the final was not much of a final. I remember it being
it was
a blowout.
4-0.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember it being kind of a blowout. So
that was against Nani FC, who snuck past Newtown Pride, the defending champs, with one of those goal time, that final goal time goal to make it 2-1, and then lost like 4-0 in the final.
Yeah, it just got decimated.
To address check, Julie, I don't know. I'm just going off of the website for Kelvin. It says that he played for Desimpedidos.
I did see he played for them in 2023.
Maybe he just didn't play this year.
Yeah.
But the league website listed him as playing, so that's kind of because he scored the $1 million goal for TS for
2023.
2023, yeah,
yes.
For Newtown.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he signed up with Desimpedidos and then couldn't play for some reason. Who knows? The man's all over the world playing mini football.
Yeah.
And then Tyler, we will be getting to that a bit later. We're kind of building up to the free agency portion of this. Want to cover all the league news before we get to the nitty gritty with Utica.
Yeah, all the fun stuff.
The stuff that we're just thrilled to talk about, and some stuff that
we don't want to.
Well,
it's not so much that we don't want to. It's that we're not excited about the fact that we have to.
Yeah.
You know, we got to go get the stick and just say, hey, you going to do something? Please?
It was what it was.
Yeah. We'll get there.
We will absolutely get there. Let's wrap it up on TST, though. $1 million in the pockets for the players south of the border.
Yep. They're having a good year.
Yeah, the MASL did cover this. You had Philly Panda and the Doctor talking about it, doing a daily recap.
Yep.
Are we going to call it a failure, though, for not having a partnership in year 2 after the MASL ran the table? Like, the team with the most MASL players, dominated in year 1. You have 100 players there in year 2, and you don't even have, like, a table at the event to talk about it or try to recruit guys for the combine coming up in a couple weeks.
I think it's definitely surprising why you wouldn't pursue it at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to say that maybe they didn't try, but maybe they could have put forth a little bit more effort, put more into attempting to get that. It depends on, I mean, it almost depends on which one you would consider the bigger entity.
Mm-hmm.
I know that MASL, for us, is a fairly large entity, but it's still a very much an unknown. Whereas, I mean, TST was on, like, ESPN, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, you almost think that they have the more exposure, so we are kind of running after them, trying to get, involved with them almost.
So the thing about TST is it's an offshoot from TBT, the basketball tournament, which started like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And up until this year has had a Syracuse alumni team every year in the tournament. So the fans from Central New York pay attention every summer. They won the championship a few years ago. It was the COVID year championship, which was still, as a Syracuse fan, it's the closest thing I've gotten to them having a good team in a long time. So they already had that partnership with ESPN through TBT. Okay. And I forget who was talking about it. One of the people on either social media or one of the MASL adjacent YouTube shows or something said that the league basically didn't expect TST to get as big as it has. And I'm pretty sure soccer is still the fastest growing sport in America. And you already have a partnership with ESPN in place in year 1 of the tournament.
Yeah.
And now it's year 2 and you didn't get on that boat. That's missed opportunity on my part.
Mm-hmm.
Or in my opinion. It's not.
I feel like soccer is not only the fastest growing sport in America, it's also one of the most I don't want to say underappreciated, but not unexpected, but it's the most, I keep wanting to say not underwhelming, but just
it's disrespected. You could say that.
It's disrespected. It's not held anywhere near as it's not anywhere near as regarded as like American football.
Yeah.
Because that's like the sport of America. And so everyone just looks at soccer and it's like, it's not football and we don't care.
Yeah.
So, and opinion is changing, but for the longest time, it's just been regarded as the secondary sport to football. And that's more geared towards, I feel that's more geared towards full-scale soccer. Because
indoors even more niche than that.
Right. But I mean, outdoor soccer is definitely can be slower. It can be much slower paced, much lower scoring than American football. So I mean,
to be fair, American football just kind of made up points. They're like, hey, you get it in the end zone, it's worth 6. You kick it through here after that, it's only worth 1. But if you kick it through there any other time, it's worth 3. So when games end like 28-21, they scored 4 and 3.
Yep. But people like seeing the big numbers.
Yeah.
It's aesthetically pleasing to the eye, whereas you see soccer and it's like, oh, they got 1-0. Wow, that sounds like a boring game.
Yeah, and you're not paying attention to the intricacy. That's why they call it the beautiful game.
And that's why it's a very underappreciated. That's the word I was looking for. It's a very underappreciated sport in the U.S. because of what it's compared to. And there should not be a comparison drawn between football and soccer. In my opinion. I don't feel like it should be. They are two very different things. I don't know. I tried to understand rugby scoring, and that threw me for a loop because my Irish friends had me watch the World Tournament there, and very enjoyable. I loved it, but trying to understand, okay, how did they get possession? How did they get points? Why did they get that many? What?
I tried to understand, like, years and years ago, when I was a teenager, I picked up a rugby game for the PS2 from GameStop because it was used in like buy one get one free sale kind of thing, and we tried to play it, and it was like that. Was it Tecmo Bowl or whatever with Bo Jackson where no one could catch him? Because I ran my guy from one end of the field to the other and back like 3 times, and I couldn't score because I didn't know that you had to take a knee in the end zone. So I got tackled in the end zone finally, and I'm like, how does that count? What just happened?
All right. Bring us back.
Bringing it back. So, yeah, failure on the league not to partner. It's not all on the league. Part of it is on TST because we do know that Philly, Panda, and the Doctor tried. They applied to be commentators there, and they chose other people that know absolutely nothing about a quarter of the players in their tournament and refer to Frank Tayu as Frank the Tank, like the Will Ferrell character from Old School.
Yeah.
Put some respect on his name. That is the King. That'd be like having, I don't know, someone who's only watched curling for a sport do commentary on NBA and then see LeBron and be like, yeah, it's LeBron. I'm going to call him Ron because it's shorter.
Just take the L. It's the Ron.
Yeah, he's the Ron. Just it needs to happen in year 3. It sounds like it's going to happen in year 3, but yeah, only time will tell at this point.
Right.
And then things went quiet for a while around the MASL.
Yep.
Yeah, some small signings. The reigning MVP, Renato Castillo, signed with the Strikers, which hopefully, in my mind, means that there's some movement on visa issues. Otherwise, why would you risk taking a paycheck in a place there where you might not be allowed to work?
Right.
Hopefully that means good things for Segura.
Yeah, miss him.
We could use him, given the current state of our roster.
I mean, like nothing? Like
well,
one?
look, if you had to talk about a nothing burger, can we talk about the merger that was pushed as this major historic announcement?
Yeah.
Between the MASL and PSAL, which actually used to be together and then split, and that's how the MASL became a thing, and now they're back together.
Back together. It's like a reunion tour.
The divorce
wanted.
The divorce just didn't work. No. Somebody realized that they weren't better by themselves and came crawling back. And now they're down in M3. I don't know how I felt about the league touting it as historic. You're part of the group chat. I was prepared for a weekly game on or CBS Go Lazo. Something that gets nationalized. Where okay, I guess it's historic, but not that big of a deal.
Right.
I
mean, it's still a cool announcement. It's just it got hyped up
way too much.
Way more than it should have been. It's still
the coolest thing about it in my mind is the women's league.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Which what do we get? We get 13 teams, but they're all in the Midwest or the South. So unless we hear of one coming to the Northeast, you're just going to have to try to watch that on YouTube or Twitch or whatever they stream it on. Yeah. Those lower teams are kind of left up to their own devices.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Krasnik, I know it's not M3.
Right.
But Krasnik was on... That was
on YouTube.
Yep.
Same with... what is it? The Maryland Arsenal or whatever their Baltimore's M2 team is.
Yep.
I mean, if you had to talk about exciting, the most exciting thing in M2 and M3, I think, is the Salisbury Stakes moving from M3 to M2.
I love that name.
That's such a great name.
So great. That is a fantastic name. I wholeheartedly support that name.
So I guess, in a way, it's a historic announcement. Doesn't really mean much overall, especially in our area. Hopefully we'll have some teams introducing women's teams. But considering how hard it was to get people to go to the M2 games, which even though they were directly after M1, might be tough to get people to go.
Here's what they need to do. Number one, sell ticket bundles.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, hey, if you buy a ticket to the Utica game, UCFC game, you get it for the extra ticket for $1. You get the ticket, each additional, every ticket for whatchamacallit is $1. Something like that.
Yeah.
Just make a deal out of it. Maybe not every game, but it'll pull people in if you bring it out there periodically.
Tyler, no. So no, Utica will not face any new teams. M1 is still a 13-team league. Yep. All that's happened is M3 has gone up to 21 teams now.
Yeah. It's basically they reinforced the quote-unquote farm league.
Yeah.
If you will, of the MASL.
Which only works if players are then, getting scouted and moving up. It's kind of why the USA soccer pyramid doesn't really work, because there's not.
Right.
They're not. It's not like baseball or the NBA where teams or hockey, where the AHL team is affiliated with an NHL team. So an injury happens, you can pull someone up, you can pull someone down. We kind of saw that last year with Utica and Krajishnik, but...
Right, because we had a lot of our M1 guys, Rafa, Mo, Julian, Wilkin, a lot of those guys went down to M2 to play when we didn't need them for that particular game, for instance, in M1. So there was shifting back and forth.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, not a whole lot in terms of meaning to us Utica fans.
Right. So it's an okay thing. It's still cool that there's now going to be a women's league. That's awesome. Having just that additional MASL to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to be difficult, I think, to bring people in initially because it's not like the equivalent of the M1 league.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a cool addition to have and to be able to watch. And who knows? It may end up being, there may be some games that are potentially more exciting. Who knows?
Oh, absolutely. I was only half listening while I was at work when the King's Cup was going on, but it sounded like the one women's goalkeeper that was playing in that was something worth keeping an eye on if this MASLW does start to take off.
Yep.
I guess that brings us to the last thing and the main thing that we need to talk about, which is the free agency period, which started at the end of May, and it's still going on, and there's still 2 more months of it. I mean, technically it goes all season long, because if you're out of contract, you're out of contract until you get a contract. But
don't make me get my stick. Gonna poke him. I'm gonna poke him.
So let's clear the air. First things first. Utica has 15 free agents, and no one has been re-signed.
I was like, can I say it? Can I say it?
Yeah.
We ain't signed.
Yeah.
It's basically it. There's no better way to put it. There isn't. There's been no announcements. There's been no confirmed there's been no confirmed signings, anything like that. Like nothing. we don't have anything.
There are rumors, and the rumors I don't want to discuss because, if players find out that information's getting out, they might not be a fan of, your organization can't keep their mouth shut. Why do I want to go there? Or
yep,
stuff along those lines. We've said it before. We'll say it again. We're kind of in this weird space where we're not media, but we are kind of media because this is fan media, but we're fans first. And
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, there's some things that we may or may not end up being privy to just because of just people we have access to be able to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, like, we're going to respect
those privacies and requests.
Yeah. Like, we're not going to spill the beans just for clout. It's not going to happen. So we respect these guys way too much to ever compromise that trust. Just for clicks and views. It's not going to happen.
Do you want to start with the elephant in the room?
Yeah, let's just go with it.
Okay. We lost the Tayu trade. At the end of last season, when, by everything that I read, I was fully convinced that he was under contract for 1 more season. Frank has announced that he's not re-signing. Yep. Steph was on a 3-year deal. And let's just air this because this doesn't affect the players nearly as much as it makes the owner look bad. Steph didn't have to go to Ontario.
Nope.
Empire looked at 3 guys and said, we want Quentin Swift and one of these 2 other guys. And those 2 other guys were Isak Somau and Steph. And it was going to be Isak, which he had a breakout year. It looked good. And his speed is a weapon. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. No denying it.
But what did we need more last season?
What could we have used a big-bodied defender with a cannon for a left foot capable of scoring? And, maybe his personality is an issue, but...
what are you talking about?
Um,
Yeah.
It was going to be Isak, and Utica was overruled by ownership.
Probably because, if I had to guess,
they wanted to keep the local kid local, which I get. Yep. Stories are great. You know what? You know what's an even better story? How you brought the Ron Newman Cup to Utica.
I was gonna say, I'm like, a championship. Yes.
We gutted our defense. We replaced it with Nelson Santana, who had a fine season last year.
He did
for
well
a guy that half the kids on that team could call grandpa. He embraced the hate, and I think Utica came to actually like him.
He was fun. He was fun to hang around with.
Well, you took a fan favorite that had just signed a 3-year deal, sent him away, and then we don't even get the guy that he went away to for one of these for more than one season.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look good. It really does not look good when, you go and, yes, you did acquire one of the greats of the league. Who's considered one of the greats of the league. You did acquire him. You really should have done what you could to hold on to him, because now you just look like.
And, we don't know if he just, we know he wasn't a fan of the cold. Maybe he didn't want to be here. I've heard that he wants to play with his brother again.
Mm-hmm.
This team needs defense. But I would have liked Danuzi.
Yeah, I would have really liked to, be able to pull in. I've been saying that for, probably since last season. If I went back, I'm sure I've at least talked about it a couple times. Like, we need to get Uzi up here if we wanted to retain him. And the fact that we didn't.
Brandon, you want to turn your mic up?
Yeah, I don't know why that is. Turn it up. Oh, God.
Oh, now there's.
All right, I turned it up.
Okay, I turned you down because I had you turned up, so it was good on my end.
Yeah. No, I turned it up. I'm okay. Peeking more in the
chat to see if.
Well, no, I'm watching OBS and I'm seeing I was just barely getting into the yellow, and now I'm more in the yellow. But because of my mic monitor, I can hear myself really well right now.
Yeah, that's. He was the team leader in points last year.
Yep.
And he. Look, if where I've been told he's going is where he's going, we're all going to be really, really just even more upset and disappointed.
It's going to be a bad time.
Yeah. He's not the only one to leave.
Nope.
The only two players from Utica that have been announced where they're going, Dylan Hundelt, who are the captain band for us last year, and Mo NDI, another one-and-done player from Empire. They're both headed to St. Louis.
Yep.
Mo is returning to where he was most successful. There's a pun there. Did you hear it?
I don't want to be here. I want to go home. Oh, wait. I already am.
And Hundelt returns home. And the irony to Hundelt is we were visiting Kate's family in St. Charles, which is where the family arena is and the St. Louis Ambush play. Mm-hmm. And the day that was announced, I was wearing Utica City gear.
Ouch.
To a St. Louis Cardinals game. The announcement came while I was less than 10 miles from the arena.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's good. I'm sure you love that.
Yep. Yep, I had my wonderful Utica City Hawaiian shirt. Because it was a beautiful, hot summer day, and what better way to represent the MASL?
It's unfortunate. What are you gonna do?
I don't. Everything we've heard about St. Louis over the past couple years is not great. So it worries me that Dylan's from there. I get that.
Yeah.
But it worries me that even Mo is going back there.
Like they basically are trying to go. It's almost like they were trying to do kind of what we were sort of trying to do last season and investing in potentially a championship season.
Yeah.
And they're just putting it all out there.
I don't know. Because their owner is still, Jeff Locker, their owner, is still their GM and their coach. And he doesn't have indoor experience. And we saw them eke into the playoffs 2 years ago when Utica was terrible for half the season because everybody was out of shape after COVID.
Yep. And basically we were, if I remember correctly, we were hoping they needed to lose in order for us to get in or something to that effect.
Yeah, if Kansas City had taken care of them in the final game of the year. And then Kansas City went out and laid an egg, which is just one more reason why we shouldn't like Kansas City. St. Louis barbecue, on the other hand, phenomenal. Look, if you guys want to bring me some of Pappy's when you come to Utica this year, all will be forgiven. I'll take some burnt ends and some of their smokehouse or barbecue. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, really. Look, I can be bought with food, which maybe that's what happened. They're just like, there's not a lot of good barbecue around here. You gotta go to Syracuse.
But you come here, we got something to talk about.
We got Riggies.
Yeah, we got Riggies.
And Greens and Half Moons and...
Yeah, when are we going to become the Utica Riggies permanently?
Please
that was
not.
A fun time. Okay? Utica Riggies was a fun time.
It's a fun one-off. I like it, just like the Syracuse salt potatoes every summer. But I like the cooler tones of the blue than the aggressive reds.
Fair.
I mean, yeah, to Tyler's point, the writing was on the wall with Mo. As soon as he and Everton got into it and there's a spat and he left the team for a couple games, it was clear he was going somewhere.
Yeah.
It's more just that he's going back to St. Louis.
Yeah, he wasn't sticking around after that. No way.
And that's just, the tip of the free agency iceberg. Brandon, how many goalkeepers do we have on the team currently?
Let me count the fingers. 0.
How many goalkeepers do you need in a game?
2. There's a problem here. Math is not mathing. At least just give us a pity signing. Give us a pity signing announcement and just say, hey, we signed Andrew Coughlin again.
Yeah.
Give us something. We'll latch on to it.
The fans are desperate for any kind of... Give us our comfort blanket right now. Knowing that we have Mr. Stretch and goal. And it gets worse because... So Frank was our number 1 goal scorer.
Yep.
Mo is our number 5. Our number 4 goal scorer, Chino, is still unsigned. Taylor Walter Bond, who had his best season in years, other than the fact that he missed a good chunk of it as a new father, which, hopefully, if he comes back this year, he would be there for the whole season. But he's still unsigned. I think he was 6 on the team in scoring.
Yeah. He was up there. And that was, even missing time. He was still up there.
The man that we expected to captain the team last year before hip surgery and forced him to miss the season, Nate Bordeaux, still unsigned. I'm
still uncertain on that one.
Last I'd seen from him was that he was going to be back this year, but who knows? I mean, it's starting to feel like we might have a full changing of the guard. We were talking last year about how few of the original Utica City guys from 2018 are still here, and they're getting thinner and thinner as we go down this list.
Yeah, it's like, what are we going to have by the end of this? I mean, in all honesty, it's not looking great.
No. Nick, quick side answer to your question there. MASL doesn't have a schedule. Yeah, we don't expect a schedule until October. It's usually late September, early October. Unfortunately, a lot of these teams are the last priority.
Yeah.
Like the Blast announced a month ago that they were going to have their home game schedule out to the fans before the end of August, and then like a week ago they're like, yeah, we're still trying to get answers from Towson University. The reason that the whole season went an extra week last year is because Baltimore couldn't get enough home dates.
Yep.
So gotta love making special exceptions for the tiny field. That's why they were going to have the outdoor game last year, is because they couldn't get enough.
Couldn't have enough around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still just not even. We're halfway through the list of guys that haven't signed from Utica.
Mm-hmm.
Last year's rookies: DJ Albert, Jace Berger, unsigned. Berger had like a goal and 4 assists in 10 games.
Yep.
Showed a lot of speed, a lot of promise.
Got to see the first one in person. That was great.
And that's is he coming? He's been posting about Utica City. Is he coming back? Can we just announce something? Like you said, DJ, we saw him. We saw him for one game. He played the final game of the year down in Baltimore. Got it, 1 goal.
Yep.
He's a defender. This team needs defense. He had a season of, to get adjusted to the game with M2. Come on, like, is he coming back? Santana, unsigned. Logan, unsigned. We talked about him back in the spring. Said that his social media made it seem like he was 50-50 on hanging up his cleats. I'd love to have him back. That was the best season he's had in 6 years.
Yeah, because he actually played the whole thing. He didn't get injured. This is like the first season in a couple of seasons.
Since like 2018.
Yeah, that he actually was able to play the entire season because he didn't get injured. Whereas every other one, he would get injured, 3/4 of the way through and be out for a while.
Mm-hmm. Depth piece, Damon Almazan. He was part of that trade for Mo last year, and then came back to Utica, and then played a lot for Krajishnik. He still remains unsigned. And then what might hurt people the most, Tim Goldman remains unsigned.
Yeah.
Fan favorite. The hype man.
He may not have been the most, we'll call it the most productive person on the team, but he very much made his presence known every time he was out on the field. And because of that, he had an infectious aura about him when he was on the field that spread to his teammates. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't so much a producer as he was a buff for the rest of his team.
Like we know he's battled knee injuries the past 2 seasons. Like, at minimum, can we get him as like an assistant coach on the bench? Just something as that positive light in the locker room. Heard through the grapevine, Segura's still having visa issues. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Nope, it really doesn't.
Unfortunately. But there's so many unsigned players around the league. It's not just Utica.
Oh yeah, it's mostly blank.
So Brandon, do you have any ideas on how to fix the MASL free agency?
I didn't expect these loaded questions.
Really? Because I sent you the show notes like 7 hours ago.
You know darn well I only looked at them like a half an hour before this. Don't you call me out on here. You know darn well I didn't look. I like to fly by the seat of my pants. Come on now.
Well, then you're really going to like the next step, the 333.
Oh, no, I saw that. I've been prepping for it.
Oh, sure, you prepped for that one, but not the free agency fix?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even just thinking about it on the fly, I mean, the only way I could possibly think about it would be to almost initiate a quota. By X date, teams need to have signed and officially announced or something to that effect that they have signed X number of players. That way there's a constant influx of information for the fans, and also, I guess it's mostly for the fans, to be fair.
Yeah.
If you do something like that. But, just setting up a quota system. Say, hey, by the end of August, you have to have, I don't know, one player. By the end of September, well, maybe I would say by the end of, either way, maybe by the end of July, one player. By the end of August, 2 additional players. End of September, 3 players. Something like that.
Jeez.
It'll fill out pretty quick. And obviously numbers subject to change, but that would be my thought.
Okay, so I'm going to build off that a little bit, because I gave this some thought. I don't know if you remember, I kind of left a rant in one of our group chats about it. With my suggestion. This was like a month ago. And that was to create kind of like the NFL or NBA has, which is specialized free agency signing periods. And something that, the MASL probably won't get without a players' union and a collective bargaining agreement. But the league should just do anyways to fix how boring and dead the free agency period is.
Yep.
So we know the season ends in the spring, and a lot of these teams want to have guys signed through the summer just so they can have players to run their camps.
Yep.
Fine. Your contract ends August 31st. Free agency starts September 1st.
Boy, that's a pretty small window.
September 1st through whatever date the weekend for the combine is your restricted free agent period. Players signed during this time would be subject to a contract making them a restricted free agent in the next time that they're a free agent, so that they're a priority player for their team. If they leave, that team receives compensation in the form of a combine draft pick from the team that they sign with, and has the right to match any offer to retain that player. The week of the combine through the week after, can't sign any players. You're focused on you're filling holes at the combine.
Okay.
The end of that week after, unrestricted free agent. So any player that signs in that window, the last guys that you're signing to flesh out your roster, when their contract's up, they're free to sign anywhere. There's no penalty against the teams that sign them. It's going to make teams want to sign guys earlier because, hey, if this guy walks in free agency, he outperforms his contract here, someone else is willing to pay him more, we're at least going to get a draft pick for him. And whether that's either the college draft or the combine draft, whatever. And it also gives teams the ability to say, all right, we'll let this guy explore free agency, and then he can come back with anything he gets, and we have a right to match it. And if we match it, he stays.
Okay. All right. I could see that.
I think it accomplishes two things. We get rid of the summer's still dead period. We don't have news outside of like TST and these other weekend tournaments that pop up for money. But when free agency starts, there should be more of a frenzy to get the players.
Yes.
It would make it more of a priority to go get these guys before they go elsewhere. Yeah. Or bring these guys in and, someone that's signing Frank Taiu isn't going to be worried about losing a draft pick because, hey, we've got Frank Taiu on our team.
Right.
That's my idea. Will it happen? No. Now without a CBA and, like I said, a players' union and boring legal stuff that
a lot of moving parts that would need to happen and that would need to come through in order to make that happen.
But would it benefit the league?
Oh yeah.
You have everybody talking about, instead of just being like, hey, remember this thing that happened in the 1970s when 20,000 people would go to games, and most of the people that follow the sport these days go, no, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like I said, those are my ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of thoughts. I mean,
it gives the teams their players through the summer for their stuff, their camps and everything for the youth, and then hopefully it incentivizes teams to be more active.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that brings us to Utica's roster itself. We have holes everywhere. I mean, from the fact that there's no goalkeeper to two of our top 5 scorers leaving to our defense basically just being the prayers of a child. So, Brandon,
we have one defender.
Out of our free agents that have not signed or announced that they're going elsewhere, who are your top 3 to retain?
Well, I'm just going to start with an easy one. Andrew Coughlin.
Okay.
Done.
I agree. He was also my number 1 choice.
It would very much benefit us to have him. At minimum, like if I had to pick between the two of them, Coughlin is typically number 1 on the list, with Wilkin being a number 2. I'm not saying he's my number 2 for retention. I would love to retain him, but in fairness, there are a lot of options out there for goalkeepers. Now, whether they're free agency or whether we obtain them through other means, which is where my other pick will come back later on, that's why I'm only going with Coughlin, just to get one. Other retention, you're going to be surprised. Nate Bordeaux is not on my list. There's a reason.
Okay.
Because we don't know what his status is. We don't. We don't know where he's at physically. We don't know if he's going to be able to participate in the same capacity that he was a few years ago. So he's not on my list. Number 2 on my list is Taylor Walter-Bond. I think we need to retain him.
Okay.
Because he produced, as you said, a lot of numbers for us in like half a season because he was gone for a good chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to retain him.
Yeah, remember that ridiculous header he had on the throw from Coughlin? Oh, my God.
Oh, it was so good. I'm torn on the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all defenders, believe it or not. All 3 of them. Logan, Nelly, and DJ.
Okay.
I am torn on all 3 of them. Because Logan, he performed exceptionally well last season.
Yeah.
Because he, again, was active the entire season. Nelly, he also was, for the most part, consistently good for us. Yes, he had some hiccups. They all do. And DJ, we didn't see enough of. I think he has a lot of promise, and I would love to see him on the roster. The problem is for this for this pick, I can't choose him over one of the other two because they are seasoned veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the sake of keeping Utica, I probably would have to go with Logan if I had to pick one.
Okay.
Even though he is a bit concerning in the injury department. So that's what, 2? No, that's 3.
That's all three. Yep.
That's all 3.
All right, so as I already said, my number 1 to retain, Andrew Coughlin.
Easy pick.
Look, if you've watched the show before, you listened to our episodes when we were back as just a podcast only, which I'll have to do this and get it out as the podcast as well.
We don't need to hear about your problems.
I'm a big defense guy.
Yep.
And it starts in the back at your goalkeeper. He is quarterbacking the offense.
Yep.
And the defense. He's going to have the best view. He's setting up the walls on plays or on set pieces. You have to secure that.
Yep.
So easy first choice.
100%. Super easy.
Number 2, we'll split hairs with you on who I want to keep on the offense, so that's Steven Fernandez.
Also a very valid pick.
22 points last year. I think if you have him, Nilton, Ronnie, and Keaton all back, you still have a very potent, very fast offense. Mm-hmm. We've seen what Chino and Nilton can do together on the field. They have great energy. My only concern is I've heard since the spring that he's headed out of town. And boy, I hope that's not true. The fact that it started basically after the season ended, though, really has me concerned.
Yeah.
I don't know. Throw some extra money his way. Do what it takes.
Seriously.
You're going to put the time and effort into developing these players. At least keep them around while they're producing.
Yes.
Number 3 also went defense. Also cheated and took 2 players instead of 3. Surprisingly, though, I didn't go with Logan just because he's publicly said he's like 50-50 if he's coming back.
Right.
And if your body's telling you that it's time, then hey, it's time.
Agreed. 100. Yeah, absolutely.
2, DJ. You spent a second round combine pick on him last year.
Yep. And
Jace Berger. Both defenders.
Yep.
Berger's young. He's fast. He worked really well out there with Cole and some of the other young guys. They clicked. He's got a year of experience. And as we've seen from a lot of these guys, there's a big jump that happens usually year 1 to year 2 or year 2 to year 3.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what he can do.
Agreed. Yeah, I think, there's a lot that can be, just like DJ, there's a lot of promise.
Yeah.
That I just think we haven't seen yet. That's really what it is.
Top 3 players to bring in from other teams. I'm not looking for trades here because those are kind of, they got to be free agents.
Free agency. Yep.
So you went first last time. I'll go first this time.
All right. Steal my picks. I'm waiting. You're going to do it. I know you are.
Okay. Ready? I'm going goalkeeper again, number 1, because Coughlin got married over the summer. Maybe he's decided that it's time to move on. Texas released a goalkeeper.
Yes, they did.
Who's been very solid, very similar stats to Coughlin over his career. They're about the same age. One Edward Pollo Cortez. I've been impressed with him. The Outlaws were a different team when he was in net last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's my number one pick.
That's a fair pick. It's a valid pick. Like, he did well.
And look, let's be honest. I looked at some of these teams. And I went, yeah, there's no way that guy's going anywhere. So I just didn't skip them because the easy number one choice would have been Nick Pereira. But he is Tacoma through and through. End of story. They'll figure it out, or he'll be back in the coaching side of things.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, he's 100% not going anywhere.
Number 2 is a reunion. I'm bringing back Ben Raymond. He's been healthy. He's been good. He's still in his early 30s. Doesn't need to do a lot offensively, but he had 36 blocked shots last year, a career high in Milwaukee, and he did that in 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
Bring him back. Right that wrong. He never should have left, and it's time to bring our boy Benny back home.
He was one I thought about.
Okay. My number 3, another defender. But this one's got offensive capabilities. He was shelved by Kansas City in the middle of last season. Only played 16 games. In that time, he had 8 goals and 17 assists to go with 25 blocks. It was the wrong side of 35, but he, obviously still very capable of playing at a high level.
Yeah.
Give me John Sosa. His last 3 seasons, 37 points, 34 points, and 25 points. 1.9 point per game, 1.5, and 1.6. There's your offensive ability out of the back.
Yep. No,
all right.
Very, very solid.
Yeah. Just wasn't really impressed with too many of the offensive free agents out there. At least the ones that are on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we only have the information that we have in front of us.
Yeah.
So who knows what else is really, truly out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the one name I've heard Utica tied to isn't listed as a free agent, and that's why I'm very confused about it. And I don't want to bring up that player's name at all because of it.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah.
That would come out as tampering.
Okay. Now I'm trying to figure out what order I want to do these in.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with one that isn't going to happen because he's already gone.
Mm-hmm.
If you had asked me this a month ago, I would have gone back to my lone pick from Harrisburg, defender, Robert Williamson. I wanted him, but he's going to Milwaukee.
He showed a lot of promise last year.
Yes, I really wanted him. So it's really sad that he's just out of reach now.
Mm-hmm.
He was so close, and now he's so far. But I do have another pick from Harrisburg.
Mm-hmm.
Goalkeeper.
Okay.
He came up from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Had a pretty decent season in Harrisburg with about a 70%.
You just want him because he scored that goal on Andrew.
No, that's not why I wanted him. I figure if he came up that far, he could come up a little bit further. I'm, of course, talking about Jorge Navarrete. As much as I like Wilkin, Wilkin's a good... He's a solid backup. He's even solid when... I mean, he was solid when we lost Coughlin due to COVID for a while. A couple months? Like, he was solid for us.
Yeah, back in 2021, 22, when they basically rotated.
Yeah. So, I would love to see Jorge Navarrete come up here.
Okay.
I think that would be a solid pickup. He is on the list. I mean...
Yeah, he was playing with Orlando down in M2 last year, and I heard they're not coming back this year, so... Yep. Well, it's been confirmed that they're not coming back this year, so...
So, I mean... Come up just a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
We'll show you a good time. Second one.
Okay.
Oh boy. I know one of them that I want to say, but I'm questioning my order.
Okay.
So,
well, this would be number. Oh, okay, yeah, no, because Williamson's gone. So, yep.
Yeah. So, I guess really my last two are bring the boys home. Both of them. We talked and this is a defender instead of if I'm not getting Williamson, bring back Togba.
Okay.
Bring back James Togba. I would love to see him back in Utica. You know, we've talked about it countless times now. He was decent for us when he was in Utica. He's had time in St. Louis. Bring him home.
Yeah, he almost made my list. The reason I left him off was the concussions the past 2 seasons.
Agreed. You know, it can definitely be,
and that's less
a hindering factor.
That's less I don't trust him, and more of a maybe just look at the coaching side there, James, because you see it in the NFL where you get your bell rung 2 times, 3 times, and that's long-term issues. And
I just don't see it stopping him.
No, that's
see it stopping him.
Too much of a competitor.
Yep.
But
and I mean he is just shy of 30, so he's got some time. So he's my number 2. And I tossed it back and forth between two other ones, both on Baltimore. Dieguez and Moy.
Okay.
I'm leaning more towards Moy. And the reason being is if we can get Christian back, those two worked exceptionally well together.
I mean, those 3 worked exceptionally well together.
The 3 of them, but if I had to pick 2, I would pick Moy and Christian. I would love to see those 2 get back together. And I know I could have, I know there's a lot of other ones around the league to look at, but knowing what they can do and seeing what they've been able to do, I would love to see him come back. So, yeah, pretty straightforward for my picks, honestly. But
1 defender, 1 attacker, and a goalkeeper.
Yeah. 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 I know. It's wishful thinking.
So the last one I have are 3 wild cards. These are, guys that you just... This is where you'd throw your Nick Pereira kind of thing.
Yep.
But, he would be the wildest of wild cards. Just guys that most likely stay where they are, or maybe had some visa issues and you're hesitant to sign them just because of that. But if everything could get cleared up and worked out, bring them in.
Are you limiting it only to free agency?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not opening up trades. I'm not opening up trades.
You suck.
Why? What, were you going to trade for?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll play by the rules.
We're trade for Tavoy Morgan, Zach Regan, Ian Bennett.
No, more like William Vanzella, and oh man, where else did I have my eye?
Roque?
No, I wasn't looking at Roque. That is fair too. We don't really have much to trade, do we?
Yeah, you gotta have a roster before you can trade guys away.
All right, so since that's the case, I need to rethink things. So,
okay. Well,
if you wouldn't mind going.
All right, so my 3 are. I'm not sure what kept this guy out last year for a few games. Must have been injuries or just rotation. Only played 16 games. We had 24 points. He's had 1.5 or more points per season or per game per season every year since 2019. Played for the Blast last year. He was a dagger against Utica many a time when he played for the Tropics. Victor Pereras.
Okay.
Fairly balanced guy. 15-9 last year. I like that balance. I like that ability to do more than just score.
Yes. Which we need.
And yeah, if we're losing 49 points, we got to find some of them somewhere.
Preferably. We should try and replace those.
My number 2 guy would mean going south of the border.
I was wondering if you were going to do that.
I am. He played for Solas back in 2019. Only played 4 games that year. San Diego in 22 and 23. And then had a breakout year in Monterey last year. They know him as Big Red, a.k.a. Ismael Rojo. 24 games, 36 blocks, physical defender, as can be seen by the 51 fouls. 19 goals out of the back. Including, if you remember, the game winner when Monterey came to Utica.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Give me Big Rojo. And then the third, I'm staying south of the border. He was very successful in the King's Cup. He went from Monterey to Chihuahua, won the championship with him. Was brought in late and helped save their season and turn it around. Because if somehow we miss out on Andrew Coughlin and we miss out on Pollo Cortez, Diego Reynoso, 750 save percentage last year on the small field.
Yeah.
55 goals allowed in 18 games, so like what, less than 4 per game.
Yeah, some
18, 36, 54.
There.
Just over 3 per game. Give me that kind of wall. That's the one thing we talked about at the end of last year is Utica's offense, phenomenal. The defense, exactly as porous as it was in year 1 of the Everton Morera era. Say that 100 times fast. Jinx.
And by the way, if I had been able to talk about trades,
yeah,
Pat Thompson was my third.
Oh, okay.
So, would like to see him come back, but okay. I have a list.
Okay.
It's a list. I'm not sure. Actually, I know where I'll start. I'll start with a known, a very unlikely, has played for us, but is a very unlikely to return for other reasons. Has kind of bounced around the league. Played for Rochester. Played for Rochester last year. Played for Florida. Played for Harrisburg. Peter Pan, Joey Tavernisi. I know it's
okay. Fair.
Very likely to not happen. But he had his moments. I mean, yes, he is kind of. He had moments where it was also kind of a one-trick pony, where he was just basically at the corner, but you knew he would be there when you needed someone to be there, if he's on the field, and that's not a bad thing to have. Is that reliability?
Yeah. Look, his. I don't want to take this the wrong way. Or have this come across the wrong way. He's kind of a one-trick pony offensively, and he's really, really good at that one trick.
Yes.
And that is sneaking behind the defense and just being like, hey, how about you pass it here and I'll just tap it in from the back post.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's reliably there.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing to have.
No.
So I would love to see him come back.
Every offense needs that check down.
Yes. I wanted to save this one for my third, but I'm having a hard time finding a third, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Yeah. That's how I ended up so far south of the border for 2 out of my 3.
So I'm stalling just slightly because I'm trying to remember one other player that. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to pivot. I believe this is also one that we kind of talked about was a big shot in the dark. If we made it past this team in the playoffs, like if we knocked them out, or if they had gotten knocked out because they were having a bit of a rough streak there for a little while. Or no, that was Kansas City. Kansas City had a rough streak, not this team. I had my wires crossed. But defender, pretty decent, does well for his team. They almost made it all the way. They did technically make it to the big game. Milwaukee, that would be Marcio Leite.
I thought that's where you're going with this, and yeah, no, he almost made my list. Almost.
Like I said, I know we talked about him before as being a great addition to the team. Again, we were hurting for defense. We've been hurting for defense. We're potentially going to be hurting for defense again. I'm going to tell you right now, it was between him and a big shot in the dark of having Jake Schindler all season.
That was a big unit.
That was a big shot in the dark, but I didn't want to go with just, hey, let's bring back let's get the band back together.
Yeah,
I didn't want to do that route, but he was my second pick for that position. Was going between Marcio Leite and Jake Schindler. I would love to see Shin Unit back, but I know out of the two unlikely scenarios, Marcio Leite would probably be the more, I don't want to say reliable one, but yeah, kind of a reliable one because, we typically only see Jake around playoff time when he's playing for Baltimore.
Yeah, because he's busy coaching and playing for Rochester.
Exactly. So that's why I went with Marcio Leite. I think he would be an exceptional addition to the team. He's a defensive asset for Milwaukee. Would love to see him in the blue.
Yeah, futsal experience would fit right in with Everton's system. Like that's kind of what I'd looked for when I was picking guys, is guys that like I could see just sliding right into that fast-paced up and down. And we know Frank was asked to play at both ends of the floor, something he hadn't done. So I wanted to find guys that, they could do that. I've seen them do that, or I fully believe they could do that.
Yep. My third, some people might not like.
Oh, God.
So
you're going to say, if you're going to say who I think you're going to say, I'm going to get upset myself.
What position?
Are you going to say a defender?
No.
Okay, then I'm...
No. Goalkeeper.
Okay.
So, if, for whatever reason, we don't get Andrew Coughlin, or we don't end up getting Brian Wilkin, or we get Brian Wilkin but not Andrew Coughlin, which would be weird. This guy wouldn't have to go far. He's not too far away, but he's not super close either. Since I already talked about Navarrete, it's not him. The reason I say people wouldn't like him is what he did to Utica last year. Set a record, if you remember correctly.
I have to break your heart. They haven't updated that list. He was signed yesterday.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Yeah.
Couldn't just let me have it?
No.
No, I get that. No.
Mike Zierhofer back with the Baltimore Blast.
Yeah, that's not really surprising at all. It would have been fun to see, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do you got to shoot every single thing I talk about in the foot?
Well, because the season's coming closer and closer, and more and more of these guys are off the board, and that one page isn't getting updated like it should be, and sometimes it's fun to just watch you suffer on the live.
Thanks.
I hope the chat enjoys it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that.
Quick pivot to option number 5 now, because we can't trade and.
Why do you do this to me? Man, I don't friggin' know.
I do it out of love.
Oh, fine. I doubt it's going to happen. But you know what? You make me lose a Tayu, give me another Tayu back. Give me Uzi anyway. Uzi can perform without.
That is fair. That is long
without his brother. I'm not saying Frank couldn't. Obviously, I was a big proponent for Frank last season. Everyone was, giving him crap all season long until he really started showing his stuff. I was behind him the whole way. I would be behind Uzi. Not granted, different position, defender again.
Different position, different expectations.
But he still was a, he could produce from the back. We saw him do some decent work down in Texas. You lose one, bring a different one in. Bring in Uzi. Since, you got to shoot my dreams down. Not that it was really a dream, but just, you got to make me change on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over again.
Yep.
So yes, give me Uzi.
Fair.
I'll take that.
Fair.
Jerk.
I think that's a pretty fair list from us each. We've kicked some ideas around. We've talked. I guess we'll open it up, see if chat's got any last questions for us before we head our merry ways. There's at this point our shows are kind of going to be sporadic. We need a schedule. We need the combine. We'll talk about those when they come out, probably together again.
We need information to talk about in order to have a podcast where we talk to you wonderful people.
Some information we have cannot be shared publicly yet.
Yeah.
Just, I'm looking forward to February. February. One specific day in February. Like I said, information that can't be talked about publicly.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a date circled on my calendar.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Probably see a lot of familiar faces that date, too. All right, Tyler, go ahead. You got a question, kinda. We'll happily answer if we can.
I like kinda questions. We might give you a kinda answer.
Yeah, sporadic shows. We'll do our best to keep updated, at least sharing on social media.
Oh, yeah, I just saw the transaction with Zierhofer.
Yep. Best way to get the crowd more engaged.
Ooh. If you're talking about Utica, promote the supporter section.
Make it a true supporter section.
Yes. Because we were talking about this at the end of the season, last season. So one of the we'll call him the founding member, really, of the group, Dave. Dave. If we had more people, we could actually meet, whether it's remote, in person, at the bar, whatever your fancy is, and we could put things together. We could put chants together. We could put, different things together.
Yeah.
But we need to be able to have we have what? 6 of us, 7 of us at this point?
Katie's moving over with her parents, taking their 3rd seat. So it's and I have to re-up at some point still because scheduling, I haven't. If I can't make the games, I'm not gonna throw money that I can't use away.
Right. Yeah, Tyler, we've been around since the beginning. They only
ran us for 1 season and then didn't really promote it the 2nd year, and then left it on the website for a few years and then scrubbed it.
Yep. Yeah, they literally sold off all of our scarves in the end of the first season because nobody signed up.
Nope.
But they didn't promote it.
Meanwhile, my brother and I were like a little too excited for it at the time. I'm hoping to get Marshall back in the section, or just even if I can get the 2 seats and then cycle that 2nd seat between him and my dad.
Yeah. And I mean, just to put it in perspective, when I was talking about the fact that, we have been coming up with stuff, but again, it's slow because we'll say there's less than 10 of us. We can safely say there's less than 10 of us.
Mm-hmm.
The thing you came up with last season, the thing that you kind of took from
a TikTok guy, and it works really well.
Yeah. The you bum stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we had more people, more brains to throw at this, we might have come up with that sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff is what gets the crowd involved. It gets people laughing. It gets people having a good time.
Yeah, I love that the whole corner's kind of joined in with it.
Yeah. Yeah, literally, not just our section, the whole corner. Anyone that can hear you is chiming in with it, and it's amazing.
And they're so stupid. Like, I hear your favorite Star Wars character is Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, it's... What are you going to do with that?
And I just hear, you bum.
I've got a bunch locked away for this season.
Oh.
I mean, I was watching this guy put them out the other day, and I was just like, yeah, we're going to bookmark this to come. Yes, Trev Chirps. Exactly. Yes. That is the guy. He's fantastic. He's where I got the bit from. I've thrown in my own things. But it's wonderful. It's fantastic. The other thing I would say is whoever's running the in-game entertainment music chant thing through the PA needs to lay off the noise sometimes.
I can make your hands clap.
Not even that.
I am so sick and tired of that song.
The timing is so bad.
Yes.
Like, don't play it when our team's on defense and needs to be able to hear to communicate for who's rotating and what. You do it when our team's on offense.
Or let us try and hype them up.
Yeah, I mean, there have been plenty of times where the crowd's just starting to get it going, and then they're like, push the button and drown out the crowd. I kind of missed the first season where all they did was pipe in the noise from like the Premier League, so you had the dull chanting.
I was totally good with that because we could shout over that.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you'd get like your little song here and there to fill the noise and stuff, but it was crowd volume. It's just better than the same 5 crowd engagement sounds.
And you got to wonder if it's grating on the players too. Like, oh, they're piping in this song again.
Yeah.
They probably don't even hear it, to be honest with you. But at the same time, if they're sitting on the bench, they're just like,
well,
great.
Yeah, they tune that out, but it's the unique things that cut through the noise that they like to hear.
Yeah.
So I take it as a badge of pride when I've been told that, hey, we can hear you on the bench.
Yes.
And we are nowhere near the bench.
No. We are basically as far from the bench as you can pretty much get in that arena.
Yeah, the only way to get further would be to go from the first row to this last row in our section.
Yep.
That'd be it.
Yeah, and in the first couple of years, I mean, I was coming up with different chants that I had adapted from, the revs, just other ones that I found online, and tried to adapt them to our own thing. But we just never really got stuff off the ground. I'm a chicken. I don't like to start chants half the time. I usually follow this guy.
That's why my voice always sounds like like I've been gargling gravel by the end of the game.
Hey, I'm usually right there with you, and that's because I'm usually following when you start stuff. I'm just not a. I'm not a.
Yeah, the first year I tried to do stuff like that, the more traditional, like, I was trying to do like player specific celebrations. If you remember, I'd even worked one out for Slav. Do you know how hard it is to rhyme Uba Parapovich and make that work? Well, guess what? It works to the itsy bitsy spider, because Ubi Parapovich dribbles, shoots, and scores.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? There's a real generic one out there where it's like, come on, whoever, score a goal. It's really, really simple. Put the ball into the net and we'll go freaking mental, that sort of thing. Well, City fits in there really well. It's like, come on, City, score a goal. Like, just simple stuff like that. It's a traditional one. It's quick. It's easy. And you can repeat it a couple times and get the crowd going with it. But never really got off the ground. And it's just simple stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, there were a bunch of empty seats this year, Tyler. I think filling them comes down to a couple things. It's not just the beer. Like, the beer garden packs it in, and I think that creates a lot of empty looking seats.
Yeah.
But part of it is Sweet Caroline drawn out. Yeah, it goes a little long sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, Utica City averaged more fans per game than the Utica Comets did last year. They're the
really did.
only team in the MASL to do that against a local AHL counterpart. That's clearly a success. It's also one of, if not the smallest market in the MASL, trying to draw in people from the Utica Rome area. And there's still a perception that it is just soccer. I would, you get the game broadcast for the Comets. They do like a game of the week or whatever on WKTV, and K-Rock does the radio broadcast. I'd love to get a few of those out there for Utica City.
Yeah.
It's a Sunday. Problem is, it's a Sunday afternoon. It's on Sunday afternoon. NFL.
American football.
It's the NFL, and these channels have their broadcasting contracts that say this is what's going on at this time.
Yep.
You got to watch a terrible game between the Jets and the Titans last week. That's why you have to watch Daniel Jones flop around like a dying fish out there behind the Giants' offensive line. They paid that man $40 million a year. I could be as successful in the NFL. And you know what? You'd only have to pay me half of that.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know what? I'll take league minimum, like $500,000 or whatever. I can have a noodle arm, too.
Noodle arm.
Sorry to friend of the pod, Matt Huber, but...
Noodle arm.
Noodle arm. Anything else you want to talk about, Brandon?
Oh, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much hit everything.
Yeah.
And more.
About a month until the Combine in San Diego. Hopefully we'll have a schedule before then. We'll probably won't be back until after then, unless there's some major surprise, shocking signing. Like, don't ask me how, but Utica signed Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, it'd take that kind of news to constitute an emergency pod.
Emergency, hit the button.
That's everything from us. Thanks for joining us for the first show.
Yeah. As always, it's a pleasure.
Yeah. Love to talk Utica City. Wish the season was longer and here sooner so that we could do it more.
I agree. It would be... It's always a pleasure talking to y'all. It's always fun having something to look forward to on Sundays other than basically just prepping for the work week ahead. For most of us, I know some of us have different work schedules, but for most of us, Sunday, we're able to, watch a bunch of soccer and just be able to, enjoy ourselves. And of course,
forget about
get to our pod Monday or Tuesday whenever we get the chance. And yeah, it's a nice way to break up the week.
With that being said, until next time, he's Brandon. I'm Matt. We're not hitting the panic button yet, but we're getting, we've flipped the glass case open so that we can reach it if we need to. We don't want that extra half-second delay anymore.
We've flipped the case open and we've got the keys out. Next is turn the key and hitting the button. Yep. We're getting there.
We're not quite all the way to DEFCON 1, but
exactly.
All right. Until next time, everyone, go Utica.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing. Go Utica City.